Hey everybody, welcome back to the Turnout. I am your host, Aloy. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you always know when the Turnout puts out a new video. And this weekend got super busy for me, and I know that I had promised my WandaVision episode 7 review recap reaction thing was going to be up like on Saturday, I think I said. That did not happen. So today, now we're doing it at 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening, right before Charmed is going to come on. So let's go ahead and talk about this WandaVision. I think the most interesting thing about this episode specifically is that I feel like it was probably the most straightforward of any episode. There wasn't like a million twists and turns like that we're so used to having on this show. There wasn't like a ton of different storylines and stuff like all kind of going on. I mean, there were multiple things happening, but it was never to the point where I felt like it was what's the way I want to say this, distracting. Like it wasn't like there was so much going on that focusing on any one story would be like, oh no, what's happening with the others? So I feel like this one specifically was just really good at just being straightforward. Everybody kind of had their thing to do, but it also was it felt more contained, and that actually might be due to the type of the 2000s style that we went. It's so great because she's like staying in bed because she's like, oh, I'm resting, and you already see like flashbacks and stuff and like cutscenes, and I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. And then you obviously know that it's going like modern style, modern family style. So it's something funny happens, and then it's a cutscene of her being interviewed about that thing happening. And I really like that. And then the Sons do it too, where they say something and then it cuts to something else. And this is something to pay attention to because there's only certain characters that get to speak to the camera, and they're all either from Wanda or they are special in a way. And that was just something that I noticed during the show, and we'll talk more about that as we go through more of the recap. But the people who got to speak to the camera were Wanda, Vision, Agnes, and Darcy. And those are the people who got to talk to the camera, and all of them have like something about them that makes them different. And even the boys didn't get to. They didn't get they were able to do cutscenes, but not they weren't able to do talking to the camera. So that was kind of interesting. So anyway, the opening sequence is so great because it's very The Office and Parks and Rec, where it's just like signs that all say Wanda. And that's how the intro is. But I did slow it down, and a lot of them are just like Wanda and we love Wanda and it's all that. But I noticed one that was kind of in like magazine style, like cutout letters, and it said, I know what you're doing, Wanda. And I was like, ooh. See, I like stuff like that. They hide that stuff because it was on a screen and then gone in a flash. So I thought that was really cool. And this style of sitcom was very well popularized in the 2000s, and I feel like that's good, right? And I feel like there's some shows that started in the 2000s that are still going in the 2010s. So they're probably, I don't even know if they're going to even bother going into the 2010s. I don't know what other sitcom would stylize that so well. Mm. So Billy says that his head hurts, kind of like mine does. I have a headache right now. Billy says that his head hurts because it's very noisy. That becomes important later. And reality is breaking down. And so like Wanda's like the drapes are changing to different styles, like they're going back to black and white and then to different eras. Um her milk does it. Just basically all the furniture and everything is shifting. And it's really cool. So that's kind of the setup in the bubble. Outside, Sword is setting up a project called Cataract to retrieve Vision, and we find out from from Monica and Jimmy that they've been wanting to turn Vision into a weapon. That's why they were tracing his radiation signature. And so yeah, it pretty much exactly the thing. This is the thing with bad guys. Bad guys project. So you notice that, like, Hayward was saying earlier, he was like, she came and took Vision, and he didn't want to be turned into a weapon, and I can't believe she would do something like that, and acting all sanctimonious. And again, it was projecting, because that's exactly what he wanted to do. So it's just funny how that works. So, go fig. Um, so anyway, we find that out too. And again, like, I can say that, and that takes up like a big chunk of the episode of them talking about it, them discovering it, and the back and forths and everything. So that's actually what I like about this episode, is I can say something and it wraps up a lot of the running storylines. So Vision finds Darcy in the circus, which was fun. She was the escape artist, funny enough, because at the end of the last episode, she was handcuffed. So now she's like, I just broke out, and it's great. So, but he finds her, and he's like, you're one of the scientists, and he zaps her, and then they escape the circus so that they can go back to find Wanda. Now, they say, why is Wanda putting up all these obstacles to keep him from returning home? Or so we thought that it was Wanda. So all along, so Darcy's like basically the whole drive, Darcy's just filling in Vision on like basically his past and Wanda's trauma. And I honestly had to be reminded of this, and I had kind of forgotten about it. But it's not just that she had to see him die, it's that she had to kill him. Then he was remade due to the time stone, and then killed in front of her. So it was like he died twice, one of them by her hand. It was not good mentally for her. And so it was good for them to kind of reestablish that, because even I, as an avid MCU watcher, had forgotten that one little detail that just makes it even worse for her character. So I mean, I did like that. So in the end, like, Vision is like sitting to the interviewer, and he's like, why am I here sitting here talking to you? I'm just gonna go. And that's honestly what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, why are you in the truck driving? Can't you just grab Darcy and fly? Aren't you, like, you can fly, just do that. But it's interesting, like, the way that the mind control that they do, that Wanda has been doing to the people. It's really good. And it makes them make choices that they wouldn't necessarily make. So I did like that Vision's first question to Darcy was, are my children safe? So that is really great. I think that's a foreshadowing moment, obviously, for the end of this episode, and shows that he's good dad material. Like, he's a good dad. I don't know if that would have been my first question. I think Vision is maybe a better dad than me, because I don't know if my first question would have been, are my kids okay? I mean, my kids can take care of themselves. I mean, I would think too, if my kids had superpowers, they'd definitely be able to take care of themselves. Uh, yeah, Madness Arcade says, even though we saw it coming, they managed to surprise us. They only managed to surprise me because they are really, really good at like red herrings and like throwing you off. And also, that's Marvel. Marvel's really good at keeping secrets. So Wanda also tells the boys that Pietro is not her brother, or rather not the kid's uncle. I don't think she actually says he's not my brother. So she says, that's not your uncle. And then she gets really dark. She's not in a good place in this episode. But I've had moments with my kids there. Sometimes you got to be real with your kids, and sometimes it ain't pretty. And you're like, how old are you? Okay, maybe we can talk about this. So Agnes shows up, and I absolutely take back what I said about her not obviously being special, because she is the only person besides Darcy and Vision and Wanda. Like, they're the ones who are able to break the fourth wall and talk to the interviewer, thus reaffirming her place as Agatha Harkness. But more on that later. But as soon as she was being interviewed, I was like, okay, well, maybe there definitely is something special here. I'm trying to hold off on like the whole reveal, but oh my God, it's so good. Like, they got me. So she takes the boys, hello to Madness Arcade and Behide. Oh, I don't think I know that name. Behide. I'm sure it's one of those. I apologize for butchering your name. My name is Eloy, so mine gets butchered all the time. So Monica takes Jimmy to go meet her contact, and it's Major Goodner. And I remember I was just like, I've been reading a lot of like theories and stuff, and a lot of people are saying it's going to be Hank McCoy, so it's going to be like Beast, or it's going to be Mr. Fantastic. It might be Reed Richards because it said it was like a, somebody who knows about like I think it's like a, oh god, I'm not remembering the term, but basically like an engineer or something that would be able to assist them. Um, so yeah, so I thought it could also have been Wonder Man because there's been a lot of talks about Wonder Man coming in. And hello, Kevin, for coming into the chat as well. I knew as soon as I was here for about 10 minutes, people, you guys start showing up. It's a weird time on a Sunday to be doing this. And I know a lot of us, again, are gearing up for Charmed. But but this was weird, right? Because this could just, a lot of people are like angry, right? Because this Major Goodner, they're like, wait, you've been building up this contact, this friend of Monica's for like 3 episodes. And like, wait, it's just some person who is not a person and like doesn't have a place in the comics and stuff. So it's really weird. My thought is that Major Goodner is the one who is working with her contact. Maybe her contact couldn't be there. They didn't necessarily state that she definitely was the contact. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But I'm not convinced that Marvel would go to all the trouble to bait us for several episodes just to make it a nothing. I think we've already seen what happens when companies do that with the Star Wars franchise, where they're like, who could be Rey's parents? Oh, they were nobody. Oh, psych, they were actually somebody. So, and nobody liked that. Stop that. Don't do that. But Major Goodner brought the truck with everything that they believe is going to allow them to go through the barrier. Monica tries it, but can't get through. Then she realizes that, and for some reason, she realizes she can get through. And when she's going through, it's warping her again. And again, we had already said several episodes ago that this was how she was going to get her powers. And this final time through the hex is her getting her final powers. She is now Photon. So very excited. She came out and she had like a different perception thing. And she had this blue energy that I feel is to counter Wanda's red energy. So most likely Monica Rambeau, and again, I say Rambeau, not Rambo. It's a slight difference, but one is a Sylvester Stallone character, and the other one is like a Creole last name, which I'm sure it's supposed to be. I mean, Monica Rambeau, I guess, is what they're saying, but it should be Rambeau. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me back off of that. I'm a big thing. I know I just butchered somebody's name before, but yeah, I if I know the correct pronunciation, I'm gonna try to get it right. So, but I love that her power is blue in energy, again, to counter Wanda's red energy. So I really, really like that. We all knew that was coming, but really nice to see. Then there's a confessional where Wanda is like in the confessional, and the producer says, "Do you think this is what you deserve?" And then it cuts to commercial, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. And then it's a commercial for Nexus, which is an antidepressant. And I believe that I think whatever happened, like Westview, this town, I'm believing is on a nexus, like a magical nexus. And if anybody knows about like magical ley lines and stuff, like the theory there is that there's all these like lines of magic that are kind of like roads or highways. A nexus is where they all where they cross. And that's like where multiple magical energies are coming together into a node, and that's a nexus. So I like the fact that they're like, hey, if you do Nexus, that's good as an antidepressant. So that's where they were going. And it could be that they're on the nexus of magic, It could be of dimensions, of realities. Just it's basically a whole bunch of stuff all kind of colliding together here, and I believe that that is definitely what's happening here. So I liked that commercial. It was definitely shorter than some of the others. I think it was also less telling. But if you look at all of the commercials together, looking at Nexus with the last one, which is somebody snacking on her magic, I think that that definitely is proof that that is what Agatha is doing. So Billy says Agnes is quiet inside. And again, like just another thing just like to reveal the darkness. But Monica confronts Wanda. And I love this scene. This scene was so tense. And it was like, oh, it was so good, like very emotional and everything. And I like the words. She's like, don't lie. And she was just like, the only lies I told were the words you put in my mouth. And it was just like, bitch. It was such a good, I mean, if she had said bitch, I think that would have gone against the negotiation tactics that she was using, but it would have been appropriate is all I'm saying. But she's even able to resist some of Wanda's magic, which is really cool. But then Agnes comes and takes Wanda away, brings Wanda to Agnes's house. And there she's like, where's the boys? And she's like, oh, they're probably in the basement. And the show turns into like a horror movie where she's going into the basement and she finds like this crypt, and it's got like a magical book with this like weird purple energy coming out of it, which is interesting because Wanda's power is red. Now Monica's is blue. And you notice Agnes's is purple, which means it's probably going to be something where Wanda and Monica have to combine their forces, Captain Planet style, to defeat the purple magic, I guess. You can tell a lot by color choice in shows, I think. So I don't know. That might or might not actually happen. But then that's where we get to the big reveal, and that's that Agnes has been playing Wanda the whole time, and us as the viewers. She gets her own "It's Agatha Harkness" like title opener at the end of the episode, and I'm sufficiently happy. Like they tricked me, and I loved it. The opening, her like new opening, I guess it's a closer, but it's like her theme song. It shows that she's responsible for messing up their magic show, for screwing up Herb, to sending Pietro. So she's the one that sent Pietro, tricking Vision and me when they were at the Halloween thing where she was pretending to not know what was happening. And also that she's been the producer, the interviewer during the Fourth Wall interviews. And then it ends with her saying, and I killed Sparky too. And yeah, they got me. I loved it. The cutscene at the end, real quick. Actually, I watched it the first time, and because I watched it 3 times again, but I watched it the first time and I turned it off at the credits because they haven't had, mid-credit scenes yet. So this was the first one. So I caught this on the second watch. I caught so Monica goes to the entrance to the basement, kind of snooping around Agnes's home, and then Pietro says, "Snooper's gonna snoop." So, so here's the thing. So she's startled in that scene, but I don't think that that's a reason to believe that Pietro is a bad guy. I think they're going to end up teaming up, or that's what I hope. Because Agatha could have created him, but that doesn't mean that she is 100% controlling him at all times. So it could be that he is his own free agent. You notice he was wearing different clothes and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens next episode, to see if he is an enemy, or if now he's maybe released from the magic to make him think certain things, and he can be his true self, and maybe we'll learn more about where he came from and stuff. That would be cool. That would be really, really cool if it was like, ooh, this could be like a whole thing that they do. It could be like a whole Pietro episode, and it could be like here was his journey to get to WandaVision. Like that could be interesting. And that would be a good way to kind of tie in all of the X-Men and stuff. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I will say very, very good episode. And again, like, what it took me like 35 minutes last time to explain everything. And this time it took me about 14, 14 to 15 minutes, I think. I'm not going to count a few of these minutes here. Um, but it didn't take as long to explain this episode because again, it was very focused and very like it was on the nose and like on point. It was really, really good. They did a great job with it. I'm going to hit some of these comments real quick. We've gone through a lot of the episodes. So if you have any questions for me and we can dish about it, I mean, let's do it. So let's see. The turnout. I wasn't fully sus until she defended Wanda from Monica. No, and that's the thing. So when she defended Wanda from Monica, yes, but for me, I last episode I was like, no, it's definitely not her now. But then when she could talk to the confessional, I was like, okay, well then it's definitely there's something special about her because her Vision, Darcy and Agnes could talk to the interviewer, which of course the interviewer is Agnes, so of course she can. But we know why Darcy because she's not from this world. And we know why Vision and Wanda because it's their show. So why would Agnes be able to? Because there you go. I did also notice Dottie was just, doing gardening and was also just there. So I was hoping that Dottie was going to have a larger role and maybe she was Agatha, but that is what it is. Hey Kevin, let's see. She never actually called Major Goodner the aerospace engineer, and that's what I'm saying. Like they never referred to her as the aerospace engineer, as the person who was the contact. So my thinking is that I'm still thinking it's Reed Richards, Sue Storm, it's one of the Fantastic Four. I'm thinking that that's what it is. Could even be Ben Grimm. Maybe they can rewrite his character so he's not just the muscle. So there's that. Some theories were spot on and others were way off. That's how it goes. That's what I thought too. Monica is a superhero. I agree. Let me see. If I was there, I would play out your left foot in that song 3 times. I don't think I understand that. You might have to you might have to explain that. It's a reference to Wanda being a nexus, being meaning she's the only constant in every universe. Oh, well, that's interesting. Did you check out the Theory channel I suggested? I have not. No, my weekend was really busy. That's why I'm doing that's why I'm doing the video here on Sunday night instead of Saturday morning. So I wish I have had the time, but soon, soon. The turnout. She seems stronger than Wanda. For Monica, I assume. I wouldn't say that anything that we've seen so far would tell us that she's stronger. I guess also if we go with physics, energy cannot be created, it can only be like transformed. So if we're using this sort of thing, it would be really hard for her magic to create something that's more powerful than her magic. So I would say, if anything, her and Monica will be equal in power. I don't imagine that her magic would be enough to make someone more powerful than her, unless there's a mixture of Agatha's magic in there too. But even though we know that the hex and all that stuff is Wanda, we know that Agatha's messing with Wanda, but the hex and all of the reality writing and everything is still Wanda doing that. So there you go. I wouldn't say that she's stronger. That's just my thought. LOL. You mean you never suspected Agnes was in on it? No, I always suspected that she was until the last episode where Vision zapped her and she was just like, oh my God, what's happening? Oh my, you're dead. And it's a hell, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. But then obviously the reveal shows that she was like basically just making fun of Vision. So I like that a lot. So no, I suspected her for the longest time until last episode. So they did a good job on getting me. Because I was just like, I mean, it has to be her. I mean, it has to be her. Wait, maybe it's not her. Oh, you got me. And honestly, that was the best timing that they could have done, was right after you make somebody believe it's not them. If they had gone another episode or maybe even 2 with it still not being her, I probably would have gone back to thinking it was her. But so the timing and the writing and like the reveal was just really, really good. So, hats off to Marvel. So let's see. The song, you put your left foot in, you put your right foot out. I would do that with the barrier to get powers if I was there. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you do the hokey pokey. I would say the only problem with doing the hokey pokey is you saw how much it took to get Monica in there. It's not just a hand. It's, you have to fight your way through and you have to battle your past and your different personalities and the different forms of you. And, I think the thing is too, is that we know that Monica is a strong woman with a great past of, everything. And who knows if you would have survived that? Maybe she's the only one who ever could. I don't know. I guess that's just a thing. It could be. I don't know. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was actually it was a really good episode. There's not even that much to like discuss because I don't feel like they threw out any like new things except for the big twist of Agnes being Agatha Harkness. Everything else was pretty much like recapping what had already happened so that so it was like a building episode. It's recapping things, revealing the enemy so that the next episode, bam, Wanda's there. She's going to be fighting for her kids. Vision's going to show up. He's going to be fighting for his kids and for Wanda. Monica's going to be there. She's going to be there trying to save Wanda from Agatha. I feel like Pietro is going to be an ally too. So we'll come back next week and we'll see if I'm right. But I think that Pietro is now no longer being controlled by Agatha. So I would like to see him also in on the trying to save it, and probably not directly, because if Agatha created him or brought him from a different universe or whatever, she probably will still have the ability to control him. So he'll have to help behind the scenes. But I think that would be a cool way for him to be implemented and for him to become a new ally and maybe go forward. And I like Evan Peters, so let's do it. I know I had said that I prefer the other Quicksilver to the Evan Peters Quicksilver, but the other guy said he ain't coming back. So I guess we gonna get some Evan Peters. So I'm down with that, Let's see. Do you think that the barrier could create main MCU mutants? I personally don't like the idea. I don't think that the barrier is going to create any main MCU mutants, but I feel like, what's a good way to say this? I feel like the ability to create mutants is like in the comics, she could say no more mutants and then they're all gone. So I think that it could be something where, again, I think that they're going to bring in people from other dimensions, and I think that might be where they come from. If not, I think that it's going to end up being where it no longer requires the hex, right? It's just like it could just be, what is that, 3,000? I think they said like 3,000 people, 5,000 people, and she could just be like, everybody in here has now powers to fight Agatha, and that could be where mutants come from, just everybody who was in this town. I mean, it could be. I don't know. That's the thing. There's so many cool ways that they could do it, and I think it's really going to be telling when we find out who the aerospace engineer is. Whoever the aerospace engineer is going to tell us who they're focusing on. If it's Reed Richards or one of the Fantastic Four, then we know that they're probably not going to make this an X-Men thing. Like, it would just be too much, I think. But if it's Hank McCoy, then we know it's going to be an X-Men thing. And I think it would be really fun if, for some reason they were able to get like the first 5, the original X-Men there. So that was Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Angel, and an Iceman. So it would be interesting if we can just get the first 5 out of it, then I'd be fine. That's a little tricky though. And where are the children? So in the comics, she actually created the children from nothing, which is, it's true here too. Like, she gave birth to them. And in the comics, if she ever wasn't thinking about them, then they just ceased to exist. And I think that could be something to this, because what was just happening in this episode is that she was taking an entire me episode, right? So she's She's just talking about herself and just thinking about herself. She's not thinking about Vision. She's not thinking about the kids. She's just thinking about herself. We already know that the kids existed for a little bit because they were having a conversation with Agnes and stuff. So, but it could just be like the very moment that she wasn't thinking about them, then they just ceased to exist. Or she has them trapped somewhere, like held so that she can drain their magic too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they could do it. Um, Oh, I can't wait to find out though. After WandaVision is over, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the following week. Marvel is spoiling us this year. Yes. Oh my god. I've been waiting for Falcon and the Winter Soldier because Falcon's my dude. I love Sam. Uh Jay Baruchel. I don't think I know that guy. I'm gonna have to look him up now. Jay Baruchel? Baruchel. Oh, that guy. Oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. I just had no clue what his name was. I like that guy. And we're saying he should be Reed Richards? No, I've heard John Krasinski is the front runner for Reed Richards. And honestly, I think that if we don't know who Reed Richards is, then that lessens the likeliness that it will be Reed Richards, unless they're just keeping that one under their hat really, really well. Also, when it comes to X-Men, I feel if this show does make them, it'll be 2 years at least before Marvel can address that situation, unless they shoehorn them into other properties. Well, they're already saying that. There's already been apparently a couple of Easter eggs, and I need to watch the video again before I try and repeat it. But there's been like Weapon X / Wolverine Easter eggs in the WandaVision show. So I saw it in like a thumbnail. I gotta go read the whole thing. But so there's that. Um, yeah, and I mean, I would love it if they started slow and they just introduced an X-Men here and X-Men there. I think it's. I mean, it allows us to not have to have an origin story movie. They did a brilliant job with Spider-Man and avoiding that, where they just, they introduced him in Civil War. Then when he got his own movie, we didn't have to spend an hour of the movie just to see Spider-Man become Spider-Man. He was already Spider-Man. We can just jump into the fun. So I think that that's going to be the way that I would like to see them do the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and everybody. I think that's just a good way to do it because a lot of people didn't like Captain Marvel, and I don't think that it's because the movie wasn't good. It's because it was an origin story, and also it was. I think also because it was a prequel and it was weirdly timed in between some very important events, and then there was controversy with Brie Larson that made no sense to me. So there you go. Actually, didn't they explain in the show that Wanda could transform matter into other forms? Well, yes, they did. So they could make well, but that's the whole thing is that she's not doing consciously, really. So or she kind of does, but there you go. Uh but yeah, she can do that. And I think John would be good, but I'm trying to be original and not following the crowd mentality. I mean, yeah, but I think also I think he's a I think that Jay guy, he might be a little too skinny. Reed Richards is like you have to have some mass to then stretch that mass. So if you're just like a skinny dude anyway, it's like I don't know, it's gonna be weird. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me on a on a Sunday night, 8 o'clock. So I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this run through. And again, it was a very straightforward episode. There wasn't really too much to discuss except just to have fun with new theories. And I can't wait for next week. Oh my God. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. I've been your host, Aloy. This has been the Turnout. Thanks for showing up.